You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. And there's so much to talk about, guys. We haven't been on in a couple of weeks. I apologize for last week. We had some work obligations we had to take care of. I have to keep an eye on work while we do these little shows, even though I'm technically done for the day. But, you know, I'm never done for the day, it seems. So in any event, welcome. And we've got obviously the biggest name in the business is off the market. Yankees have made a couple of moves, another one today, which we'll talk about. We've got a couple of past players who have passed away recently, which we'll touch on, and some old timers who have gotten into the Hall of Fame. And I want to welcome everybody watching today on our Facebook, TGI Sports Talk Facebook feed, our personal feed. We're on X. We're on YouTube. We're live on National Streaming Sports Roku channel. So welcome everybody watching from any of those spots. Get those Roku channels on National Streaming Sports uploaded. It's free, and there's lots of great content, 24/7, basically, guys. There's content there to watch. If not live, then encore presentations. And we wish our the leader at National Streaming Sports, Mac McGrath. We hope he gets better soon. As you know, Mac has been battling some health issues here recently, and we hope he's back in the saddle. I filled in for him this morning on the Mac and Jack Friday episode, and we hope he's back and better than ever soon. So heads up, Mac. We want to thank all the groups that allow us to share. A couple of shout outs to John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, Love for Baseball, Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports, do a great podcast. Check their stuff out. Flo will join us from time to time. Also, where else? Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the gang do their live podcasting too. We are allowed to share our show to their Facebook group as well. We've had a long time relationship with them going back to Dan Harris, as you all know, or most of you know, my late great friend Dan Harris. And who else? Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. And gosh, guys, for this show, tons of baseball sites we're allowed to share to, groups, I should say. And we get tons and tons of feedback and tons of views. And we really do appreciate art. Oh, a shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media as well. Ralph does some great stuff out of Pittsburgh, big Pirate fan, Steeler fan and such. Specifically the Sports Corner he does from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. And I've been a guest on that show several times and always come away having a good time. Our thanks to this morning's guest on 101 with Keith Engle. We had, who do we have on this morning? We had Wesley Walker, former wide receiver with the Jets, 11-year career, great player at Cal. And last week we had Billy Sample. We didn't get a chance to thank him on this show, but we'll thank Billy Sample, former Ranger, Yankee, and Brave, for gracing us with his presence as well and answer our questions. We have a great time. We got some great guests coming up, by the way. Next week, Jim Graziano, former South Carolina star center back in the 70s for the late, great Frank McGuire. Lives right there, here on not here, but downstate, Long Island. We'll have Don Beebe in a couple of weeks, former Buffalo Bill. Looks like we'll have Richard Todd, former Jet quarterback, soon. So lots going on, and we will continue to try to bring you great stuff. Good afternoon, Danny Fuller out there in California. Hope you're, and speaking of people feeling better, we hope Danny's doing well. I'm seeing him more active on Facebook. He's starting to get around the shows again, at least the ones that he doesn't have to get up at 5:30 for. But I know he was on early today. So we do appreciate Danny and all of our fine followers as well. Listen, the off season has been nothing if not exciting. And I will say, before I get started, I guess I want to jump. We're going to talk about a couple of good, I think, fine players back in the 60s, 70s, who passed away recently, and one who played in the 50s and 60s. I'll start with Rocky Colavito, because probably more people know him than any other that we might talk about. Rocky played for a number of years. I think he was a part of an even up trade for Harvey Keene one time, where maybe the only time the batting champion was traded for the home run champion. But Rocky played from 1955 to 1968. Did have a stop with the Yankees, just 108, 106 at bats, and he played with Danny's Dodgers as well for a little bit. 129 at bats there in the same year, 68. But Rocky had a long career. 374 home runs, 1,159 RBIs, I should say. He had some really good seasons. Never won an MVP, but was in the running for many of them. Great long career. He passed away this week, and our condolences go to him and to him, yes, because Rocky's not here anymore, but to his family and his friends. Great ball player. Bill Melton, longtime third baseman, first baseman, DH mostly with the White Sox, won a home run title with the White Sox, was an all-star with the White Sox. I remember him well growing up. My guy was Bobby Mercer for the Yankees, and Bobby was, we thought was going to be a bit of a more of a power hitter than he ended up being, playing in Yankee Stadium, but he did lead the league in home runs one year, and that year Bill Melton had beat him out, so it was kind of the thing for me. But we wish his family peace at this time, and his friends as well. And Bill was a underrated, stick in the mid 70s, let's say early to mid 70s with the White Sox. And he played with one of the guys that we're going to talk about, got in the Hall of Fame this past week as well, Dick Allen. And lastly, Merv Retman, who played with, Merv Retman played with, did I bring up Merv Retman's stuff? I thought I did. I guess I didn't. There it is. Hold on. Merv Retman, I know he started with Cincinnati. Actually, he started with Baltimore, sorry. Started with Baltimore, played from 68 until 73. Fine hitter. Kind of an up and down career. I mean, he'd go from as low as 247 to as high as, 318. Good pinch hitter for Cincinnati later on the Big Red Machine, or I guess part of the years of the Big Red Machine, 74, 75, went on to play with the Padres in Cincinnati. Again, not a Hall of Fame ball player, but a steady, productive bat in the major leagues for a long time. So our condolences to his families and friends as well. And we can talk about those guys today. They're all guys that, it's when you reach my age, 64, soon to hit my 65th year. The guys you watched growing up start to, I'll say, fade away. And it's happened a lot recently. And it started for me. Listen, I was really struck when Bobby Mercer passed away. And he passed away very young, 63 years old. And I'm friends with his wife, Kay, on Facebook, and chat now and again. And you miss your childhood friends. And these are people that you grew up with in your childhood when we didn't have all the things that we had today. And, getting that Sunday paper and reading these names in it was always an exciting time. So it's always melancholy for me when I see these guys pass away. The Veterans Committee, or whatever we call it in the Hall of Fame these days, a bit, we talked about this on the Mac and Jack show, and Jack Hirsch. We didn't talk a lot about Dave Parker, but we talked about Dick Allen. Dick Allen and Dave Parker both got into the Hall of Fame this year via the Veterans Committee. I don't know exactly what the hell we're calling it these days. Let me see if I can find out. Let's see what we can. I guess it's the Eras Committee now, because we got to have this, this is great. Can't make this easy, right? Let's see if we had the vote. Yeah, December 2nd. I think this. Oh no. Yeah, hold on a second. I want to see who I know. Listen, Dave Parker, and I want to see what the other voters got. I guess I'm not going to find it that quickly. Louis Tiant was on this ballot. Tommy John was on this ballot. They were not elected. I know Tommy John had 7 votes. Let's see. Let me get back to this here. Who else was on this ballot? Dick Allen, who made it, Ken Boyer, John Donaldson, Steve Garvey, Vic Harris, Tommy John, Dave Parker, and Louis Tiant were among the candidates. Among those candidates, only Garvey, John Parker are living. Richie Allen passed away. I don't know if it's Richie, don't call me Dick Allen, or Dick, don't call me Richie Allen. But they were both elected. I think Richie Allen belongs in the Hall of Fame. Certainly, I believe Dave Parker belongs in the Hall of Fame. I wrote down some numbers this morning when I was talking with Jack, and now I don't have them in front of me, of course. But Dave Parker won an MVP, was top 10 like 6 times. Is that right? Let me just check it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the top 10, 10 times. I'm sorry. Yeah, in the top 10, 10 times in the top 20, won 3 Gold Gloves early in his career. This guy for 10 years span was a dominant player. And to me, that's kind of where you need to be. Final numbers are great. The compiling numbers, right? His don't stand out as gaudy. 300, they're good. 339 home runs, 1,493 RBIs, stole 154 bases, hit 290, 810 OPS. 3 Gold Gloves, as I said, all those other awards. But he was a dominant player in this game, basically from 75 right through to 85, 86. A couple of years with injuries. If that's your span and you dominate your sport, or you're one of the dominant players in your sport, then you belong. Richie Allen, when he wanted to play, was one of the most dominant players in baseball. We talked about Bill Melton earlier. When Dick Allen got to Chicago, he transformed that franchise into a contender overnight. He would have won back-to-back MVPs probably 72, 73 if he hadn't broken his leg in 73. Now, he had a reputation as a malcontent. Jack Hirsch this morning was dead set against that Richie didn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm not so sure. And let me get to a couple of comments while we're here. We can talk about any of that. Plus all the trades. We got Soto signing. I'm glad Soto's gone from the Yankees, by the way. Hello, John Gonzalez. We talked about John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Make sure you get and join that group. John is one of the best admins out there. And I know a lot of guys like Danny and Paul Spotted, some others, Drew, have joined that. John, you got Bobby Gonzalez. Where the hell did they get Bobby Gonzalez? Your brother, Bobby Gonzalez, John. Bobby Mercer was the only one worth rooting for in the early 70s, the Horace Clark years. Yeah, Bobby was my guy, but there were some other guys worth rooting for. Mel Stottlemyre was still on that team. Roy White, who I've had on the one-on-one interview show, great. He was an underrated player, and I think Bobby and Roy White both deserve a little bit more recognition for their years with the Yankees. Roy White spent more years in the Yankees than a lot of the guys are out there in Monument Park now, and they spent just like a decade trying to replace him. Bobby was a star, different than Roy, and it could have been, for other reasons, but they wanted Bobby to be the next Mickey Mantle. That was never going to happen, but Bobby was a good ball player. My heart was broken in 1975 when they traded him for Bobby Bonds. First trade, by the way, of $100,000 ball players. Well, that's what I said too this morning. Harold Baines. I can name about 10 guys. Harold Baines. Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff's got more homers than Dave Parker, but Dave Parker did everything else better than Harold Baines. He did everything else better than Fred McGriff, other than compile numbers. Maybe Dave Parker would have probably got. If he was healthy, probably would have got 3,000 hits, 2,700. He played a long time. And as I said, he was dominant. In what decade? So again, take a 10-year span. Was there a 10-year span that Fred McGriff or Harold Baines? And I'm just throwing them two guys out there. There's other guys I can probably go find. Were they dominant for a 10-year stretch? And there's different criteria for different types of players. I don't have a problem with Bill Mazeroski being in the Hall of Fame. Fielding matters. Ozzie Smith, fielding matters. Dave Parker, for the first half of his career, was he a five-tool player? Almost. He didn't steal. I mean, he stole double-digit bases, 20 a couple of times, got caught a lot. But he was a really good defensive right fielder for the first half of his career, threw a ton of guys out. You remember this 1979 All-Star game, and if you're not old enough to remember, go watch a highlight of it on YouTube and watch Dave Parker throw out, I believe, Brian Downing from about the fence in the Kingdom. It was amazing throw and a great play, one of the greatest plays in All-Star game history. John Gonzalez says Richie Allen from Wampum, Pennsylvania. Richie, Dick, Allen, he was here's the thing, and people will want to label him as a malcontent, and maybe he was. But this guy went through such brutality in his early career, both in the minor leagues and even when he got to Philadelphia. People throwing batteries at him, racial epithets coming at him right and left, the things he had to put up with. Again, both in the minor leagues, as a lot of guys did. He's not the only one, obviously. But in Philadelphia, they barely gave him a chance. So he ended up kind of, within a 5-year span, he ended up with the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Dodgers, the White Sox, and then back with the Phillies, where they loved him the second time around. But Billy took to wearing a batting helmet in the field because it was so dangerous for him out there. Not Billy, Richie. He was a really good player. There were years he was absolutely dominant. 1966, amazing. Another guy, rookie of the year, top 10, 1, 2, 3 times, won once in the MVP, top 20 another couple of times. Would have won back-to-back if it wasn't for that broken leg. He carried that White Sox team in 1972 that nearly beat out the A's. 1973 as well. Chuck Tanner managing that team. Bill Melton, the late Bill Melton, we mentioned earlier in the show, carried this team. Lots of fun. Anyway, it's good. Parker had a rifle, as I said. John, you're old enough to remember. So are you, Danny. That throw from right field in the 1979 All-Star game is burned into my memory. I don't even watch All-Star games anymore. Nobody cares. Then they mattered. Now they don't matter. John Gonzalez, Danny saying, hey, it was Brian Downing from the next state. He was out, right? Man. Maybe the best throw I've ever seen. Allen also played for the A's. He did. He ended his career with the A's. Good call, John. Forgotten about that. I looked real quick here at the baseball reference. No better thing than the baseball, football, basketball, whatever reference, man. It's a great tool. And I'd forgotten that after his last year with the Phillies, I thought he finished his career with the Phillies, and I forgot that he went to the A's in 77. Again, a shell of himself by that time, and he was a shell of himself really in the second time around with the Phillies, but he did help them win a couple of pennants. Good player. Congratulations, whether you like it, you don't like it. As John said earlier, some of these guys that are in the Hall of Fame, we don't have an argument here. We can continue to talk about that if you guys like. We can also talk about what's going on in baseball right now. Oh, my God. How about the Yankees? First of all, Soto signs 15 years, $768 million. About $30 million was a difference, over time. $5 million, I believe, for next year. Difference with the Yankees and the Mets. $30 million over the whole span of the contract if he plays out. And he's got an opt-out after 5 years. And then as things come up with the Yankees, and all of a sudden, I don't know whether I want to call it crybaby. I'm not really sure what to talk about with Soto and this whole thing with his problem with Yankee security. He wanted a suite. They wouldn't give it to him. He had a problem that Yankee security removed his kids from places they weren't supposed to be. I don't remember if it was a locker room or somewhere else. I really don't remember because I don't care, really. Goodbye. I knew he was going where the most money was. I'm okay with that. By the way, that's not the first time a Yankee star's had trouble with kids in the locker room. Ken Griffey was pissed at the Yankees back in the 80s when they wouldn't let his kid, you might know him as Junior, Ken Griffey Jr., wasn't allowed to hang around the clubhouse. And Ken Griffey Jr. had a problem with the Yankees over that. But anyway, the Yankees are going to take that $760 million and I think use it very well. I like the Max Fried signing. It's a lot of money. It's a 30-year-old pitcher. You're taking a chance. I mean, he's had a couple of injury issues two of the last 3 years, I think, or 2 of the last 4 years. But he's one of the best pitchers available. There aren't a lot of great pitchers out there available, although they are being linked to Luis Castillo now with the Seattle Mariners, I read this morning. Whether that comes to fruition, I don't know. The Yankees also are in talks with Kyle Tucker to acquire Kyle Tucker. It looks like the Cubs might have the inside track there. We'll see. The Yankees have talked about giving up Luis Gil and Ben Rice in that trade. That would be a great trade for the Yankees. They've got 7 starters now, all with injury history, pretty much. They have 6 starters now because they traded Nestor Cortez today to the Brewers for Delvin Williams, who's a lights-out closer when he's healthy. He only pitched 22 games last year, but he took over that closer role when Hader was traded to San Diego a few years back, and he has got electric stuff. Exactly what the Yankees need in the back end of that bullpen, if he can handle New York City. It'll be interesting, but I like what the Yankees are doing. Still holes to fill. We got to work. And by the way, Tucker, they're after. Their Bellinger's in play. The important thing to me with those 2 guys are, by the way, they're both really good hitters, really good fielders, and they can play center field. I need Judge in right field, where he's one of the best right fielders in baseball, not in center field, where he's average at best, probably below average, quite frankly. And also, it takes too much toll on his body. So I'm excited about this, the possibilities here. I can use that money. Maybe it's Bregman, although he's had a little downturn in the last couple of years, but Bregman's still a good third baseman. Some talk about Nolan Arianda. I'll never say his name right, Drew. I know you're not with me today to help me. Arenado. Thank you, Keith. Again, these are guys that aren't quite in their prime, but maybe they rejuvenate with a change of scenery. It depends on the price tags, right? I don't want to overpay for these guys. So the Yankees need help at second or third, center field, maybe right field. I'm sorry, maybe left field, first base. So there's a lot of holes to fill. But we got starters now. We may have to trade one. Got to still do a little tweaking in the bullpen. You got Williams now at the back of it. I like what the Yankees are doing so far. And John said should get Bellinger and Bregman. I didn't even read your comment. That's too funny, John. Quite frankly, I like Tucker probably a lot more than I like Bellinger, other than the fact that he'll be a free agent. He's got to walk. He'll be in his walk year after this year. So the Yankees would be in the same position they are with Soto, but he's not going to be in a position to demand the kind of money Soto can. And he's a better all-around player than Soto. He's not nearly the bad, don't get me wrong, but this guy plays a gold glove type defense. He's a good base runner. He steals bases. Soto does none of that. Soto hits. That's okay. I think Kyle Tucker, Bellinger, and Fried, and they're not getting both Bellinger, Tucker. Tucker doesn't look too good right now. But we'll see what happens. I do like that. I think I like Bregman. I've always liked Bregman, and I do think a change of scenery might help him. And he says Soto will get a Stankies welcome in 2025. Well, he sure will. You know, he should have just signed and kept his mouth shut is what he should have done. He got $765 million, $68 million, sorry. Just take your money and shut up. I got into this happens to me all the time. And again, if you're watching, you can comment. I'd rather go back and forth with you here on the show. Matt, you know who you are if you're listening. And he messages me, and he's a good guy. And he's a big Yankee fan. But he asked me questions just to give me his opinion and argue with me. He'd asked me about Soto, and I said my gut was he was leaving. And then he said, no, he's going to stay. He loves the Yankees. He loves everything about the Yankees. They give him a better chance to win. And I said, it doesn't matter. Just follow the money. And then when he signed, he was like, I never wanted Soto. He's a crybaby. This happens all the time. I got into an argument about Carlos Rendon. I said he's an injury risk and doesn't. I was worried about how he would pitch in New York City, and I think that's pretty much proved itself out over 2 years. Sorry. There's a couple other guys too. I don't think I engaged him yet on Max Fried. But Matt, if you're out there, don't get mad that I'm talking about you on the show. I mean, it's easier for me to have a back and forth with you if you come in here and comment than me to type out all the nonsense going on in my head. Everybody's welcome to come here and debate anything with me. Danny does it. Even John and I agree on many things, but even John and I get into some debates now and again. Well, that's the downside with Tucker. But Bellinger, you're going to have to sign to a real contract because he only signed, he's signed a 3-year deal and opted out. So he's basically a free agent now. And yeah, you can lock him up and you might get him cheaper than Tucker, quite frankly. I like, and again, it's the Yankees. I'm basically playing year to year, John, at this point. I mean, I don't think they're thinking 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. I think they've got guys we've got Spencer Jones. We've got some guys that hopefully, and you got Dominguez. You've got a lot of guys that hopefully will help you a year or 2 years from now, if not sooner. So I'd be okay with Tucker on the walk year. I would, especially if I'm only giving up Heel and Ben Rice. I'm not. Look, at Heel was very up and down. Maybe he'll really blossom, and I'll be regretting what I say. But if the price for 1 year rental, and I do think they'd have a chance to re-sign Tucker much easier than Juan Soto without destroying their whole salary structure. Right? You got to keep in mind they couldn't pay Soto more than they were going to pay Judge. But I get your point. You don't want the 1 year rental. That's okay. Bellinger's good. I like Tucker's tools better. And Bellinger, I'm probably going to be able to sign, fairly long. I would not give him a long-term contract. 4 or 5 years max. Chris Fgrave is with us, our Canadian correspondent. I don't want to overpay with ticket sales helping paying for players' salaries. What is a foot-long hot dog with your pop at the park? 37, about that, yeah. That sounds about right. Again, I would say all that money is going into the Yankees, into the owners' pockets from the concessions. Well, it's going into the concessionaire's pocket, number one. Remember, it's important. In a way, the teams are setting the prices for the concessions, but in a way they aren't, Chris, because that's a concessionaire. But concessionaires are paying big bucks to be in these parks. It's TV money that's paying these salaries, both local and the national packages. That's why the teams who have their own networks, like the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and whomever else, they've got a leg up on the others that don't. I mean, we've got teams that barely have a TV package because of this Diamond, whatever the Diamond group is. This TV network that fell apart from many of these clubs, mostly in the Midwest and near West, I guess. There was some news on that a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. I should have. But that's the price of doing business today, right? And if they chase, that's a nice picture, by the way, Chris. Sorry. That's the price of doing business. And if they chase fans away, that's the danger. I mean, we have choices as fans. I mean, we're the only ones who will probably drive down salaries. Owners can't do it. When owners try to rein in salaries, collusion charges come up right away. So until the fans start to stay away from the park and from the TV set, not likely to happen. Guys are going to get paid. You know, we can stop it. I don't have a problem. Again, I've talked about this a lot, and yes, that's the repercussions. But I think people are worth whatever somebody's willing to pay them. Whether they earn that money is a different story. Well, again, and that goes to what I said. And again, you're going to see guys like Steve Cohen are going to drive salaries up because he's willing to overpay for people. Yankees weren't. Yankees had a budget, and I think good for them. Now, Soto also said, you know, the Yankees wouldn't match, and Brian Cashman said they weren't given a chance to match, and I'm glad they weren't. I don't think part of me thinks that Cashman and Steinbrenner are happy that Soto is not a Yankee anymore. I mean, they went a long ways to make it look good if that's what they were doing, but overpaid. Again, my opinion on this will never waver. You're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you. You are, John. I am. Soto is. Everybody is. Whatever walk of life we're talking about. And then whether you earn the money is different. I earned my money. John, I know you earn your money. Most of the people I know who work for a living do. Now, these ball players have to go out and earn it. And often they don't live up to that contract. That's, to me, it's two different things. It's probably, you could argue that it's semantics, but that's just the way I think. Speaking of the Blue Jays, is Juan Soto the modern George Bell? He's better than George Bell, by the way. But as far as the type of ball player he is, Chris, absolutely. George Bell was a great hitter. Couldn't field a lick, couldn't run a lick. I would say George Bell hustled better than Soto. I'm not a big fan. How does Soto, by the way, this is a little bit different. I'm not a fan of his theatrics in the batter. I don't need all that. I want to know this. If you don't think Gold Gloves considerations have something to do with your bat, the fact that Soto was a finalist for a Gold Glove this year is all you need to know. Watch him play right field. It is not fun to watch sometimes. It's painful to watch him play right field at times. You know, and again, I don't know whether it's a lack of talent, if it's a lack of effort, a lack of work ethic, getting better. I talked about a story from the World Series, right? Where the Yankees and Dodgers, the difference to me, a big difference in that series was outfield play, and not so much just catching the ball. Forget about Judge dropping a fly ball. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about holding guys to singles instead of doubles and triples instead of, doubles instead of triples. Before every game in New York, Mookie Betts was out there playing caroms off the wall and to know where to go to field the ball, hit down the line, hit up the gap, and be able to keep a player from taking an extra base. I guarantee you're not going to see Juan Soto out there doing that. Yankees give up extra bases all the time that they shouldn't. That's part of being a good defensive outfielder. It's not just catching the ball. And if you don't have a lot of assists, it's because guys don't run on you. Very similar interceptions in the NFL. The best cornerbacks don't have the most interceptions because nobody throws at them. The best outfielders don't have the most assists because nobody will run on them. That might early in their career, and then they stop. Yeah, but where's he going to play? Where's Correa going to play? If you're talking about for the Yankees, I mean, you're not moving Volpe off first base, and I have not heard about Correa thinking about a position change. If he is, then he'd be all right at second or third base. His contract, I think it's another, I don't know what his contract is, quite frankly, but I'd consider it. I really wanted Willie Adames as the guy that I wanted, John, as a Yankee fan. He was willing to change positions. The Yankees weren't willing to pay him. The Giants, gave him a pretty penny, and I think he's a really good ball player. I think he's a good defensive player, and I think he could handle a second or third base. And I like his bat a lot. Speed. Can we go get Bell? Hey, Frankie Cruz, how are you, buddy? Can we go get Belly and Alonso? I don't want Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is not the answer for the Yankees. I'd rather see a 34-year-old, and the Yankees supposedly have gone down this road pretty well with, oh, God. Why is my, what a reason my mind is not working very well. Walker, Christian Walker, from the Diamondbacks. He's a plus defensive player. He's still got some pop. Pete Alonso's a modern day Dave Kingman. Strikes out too much, strikes out in big spots too much. He's too streaky. He hits home runs and that's it. He's not a good defensive player. Now, Bellinger, yes, because I want Judge out of center field. I'm going to tell you, well, you'll hear me say this until we get Judge out of center field. Judge is one of the best defensive right fielders in baseball. He is a mediocre, below average center fielder. And it's too much wear and tear on his body. That's a big guy running around there. So Bellinger, yes, if that's what we're talking about. I'm not sure who Belly is if we're not talking about Bellinger, Frankie, but I'm not a fan of Alonso. Great to see Chris. Hey, yeah, you are missed, Chris. What's going on with you? You got a job on us or something? Takes you away from us? Get your priorities in order. Just kidding, buddy. Happy birthday to Pirate sensation Dale Berra, Yogi's boy. Yogi's boys both played professional sports. Dale played baseball, played with the Pirates, played with the Yankees. 68 years old. Man, happy birthday, Dale. Dale had some issues in the 80s, but man, he was a consistent, productive Major League Baseball player for a while. I'm trying to think of his brother's name. He played football, played with the Colts. I believe he's a wide receiver. I know he returned kicks, and I cannot for the life of me think of his brother's name. But happy birthday, Dale Berra, former Yankee, and one that I remember fondly. He played for his dad for a short time before his dad got fired. Facts on Yankee management. Happy Soto is gone, no doubt. I agree. I mean, I'm surprised they went as far as they went. And, you know, for Soto to throw the organization under the bus the way he did on the way out shows you what kind of guy he really is. I was not necessarily enamored with the trade. I'd love to have Michael King in this rotation right now. It got us a World Series appearance, and that's it. But that's what the Yankees want. You know, they gambled, they rolled the dice, and it didn't work out. They got a World Series appearance, and, you know, Soto played really well. His bat was exactly what the Yankees expected. They got exactly what I would have expected him to get out of Juan Soto. What's going on with my lighting again? So, yeah. They're better off without him. They can spend that money. Hal Steinbrenner is not George. This guy, and he's not Steve Cohen. And I'm not sure that they could spend money the way the Cohens can. The Steinbrenner family's got a lot of money. They don't have Steve Cohen money. And they're not going to just go, you know, $200 million over the frickin' salary cap. It's not going to happen. Hello, JB. How are you, my friend? JB from the Back It Up Binge podcast, our resident Oriole fan. Agreed, if you get it legally, go for it. Yeah, well, that's true. There's the legal part of this, right? Why is my light fading in right before my eyes? My front camera light is just like out of control. Hang on one second here, guys. I don't understand what's going on. I apologize. We've had some lighting issues now for a while, and I think it's my front light which is causing me issues. So I apologize. I took it and replugged it in. I might have to get a new one. Anyway, what else you got here? I want revenue sharing dropped and teams to go out of business. There you go. Bigger player pool, better competition, lower salaries. That's entirely possible. I don't know if they're lower salaries. Might raise salaries, quite frankly. But the revenue sharing, I have a big problem with because a lot of these teams don't use the revenue the way it's supposed to be used. The whole idea of me giving the Royals and the Pirates money is that they go out and spend it. George Steinbrenner had the best take on the revenue sharing and the luxury tax. He goes, if I wanted to buy the Kansas City Royals, I'd have bought the Kansas City Royals. I bought the New York Yankees. He got him for a song, by the way. Bigger question, JB, is why would Judge and Cole and other players not lobby for Juan to stay? Very good question. Very good question, JB. I'm with you all the way. I feel like my light is fading as I sit here. I don't understand what's going on. Oh, frustrated. Judge said he sat back. I can't remember what Judge had an explanation for why he didn't speak out. I think he didn't want to put pressure. He said he didn't want to put pressure, on his teammate and things like that. But if they really wanted him and they went to management and said, we really want him back, maybe he'd be back. I don't think he's as good a teammate as people think. I think he's a selfish player. What the heck happened to Brandon Drury? I think he was playing hurt all last year. Brandon Drury's never really been, to me, he had a couple good years with you go to the Angels, by the way, and you go to hell, basically, because you just fade into oblivion. They've already made some moves already. Revenue sharing is terrible. See, I agree with you, Danny. I'm with JB. Let some teams fail. So what? Too big to fail? I don't think so. I think Major League Baseball could use some contraction. They're talking about expansion all the time. We got teams like Tampa and Oakland who can't support teams now. Tampa, before their stadium was destroyed, basically in I think a tornado, ironically enough, not a hurricane. We're talking about playing half their games in Montreal. Who couldn't support a team? I'm sorry. If you don't support your team will leave or be contracted. That's part of the deal. Oh, let's get an update. Latest off-season trades here. Looks like the Cubs have landed Tucker since I looked at this afternoon. Cubs are acquiring Houston outfielder Kyle Tucker in exchange for third baseman Isaac Paredes, pitcher Hayden Wesnicki, and prospect Cam Smith. That's according to Jeff Passan of the ESPN. I got to believe the Yankees. Maybe the Yankees didn't offer Heel and Rice. That trade would be, that to me, and maybe you throw another prospect in, I think the Yankees could have beat this deal. Am I wrong? Come on, will you light up? This light's really ticking me off. I don't like working in the dark. I'm sorry for the visuals, guys. Hope it's okay. We mentioned the Yankees get Delvin Williams from the Brewers in exchange for left-hander Nestor Cortez. I'll miss Nestor, but Nestor, you served your purpose. Infield prospect Caleb Durbin and cash considerations. Right-handed pitcher Jonathan Loaizaga, who I love but can't stay healthy to save his life, has agreed to a one-year contract with the Yankees. The Red Sox make I think, a really great trade in getting Garrett Crochet from the White Sox for 4 highly regarded prospects. Jake Berger has been traded from the Miami. Jake, here's the thing. And I don't know if you're still with us, Frankie. You love Alonso. Berger's numbers are as good as Alonso's, and those aren't good numbers. Rangers have agreed to trade for power-hitting infielder Jake Berger from Miami. They get a couple of prospects, a couple of shortstop prospects, and a young left-hand starting pitching. Miami will unload every decent player they have, and Berger's not even that good. Not sure where he's going to play with Texas, by the way. Nathan Eovaldi and the Texas Rangers agreed to a 3-year, $75 million contract. He's pitched pretty well in Texas. Toronto's finalizing, I think they have finalized a trade. A little surprising, 3-time Gold Glove winning second baseman Andres Jimenez is going to Toronto. That's a nice acquisition for Toronto, I think, quite frankly. We talked about Fried landing with the Yankees, 8 years, $218 million. Please stay healthy. The Blue Jays and right-hander Yimi Garcia are in agreement on a deal for 2 years, $15 million. Phillies added Jordan Romano to their bullpen via free agency. We know about Soto Conforto, Michael Conforto, Danny, joining the Dodgers on a 1-year deal. Willie Adames, we mentioned, has got 7 years, $182 million from the Giants. JB, your Orioles get Tyler O'Neill from the in free agency for a 3-year, $49 million contract. The Mets sign Holmes, Clay Holmes from the Yankees, 3 years, $38 million, to be surprising enough a starter. He failed with the Pirates as a starter, so I'm not really sure how they see this. But Danny Jansen is moved to Tampa Bay. We'll see if he can get traded to another team that he can play with in the same game that he did this past year. One of the bigger reaches of the offseason, I think, was Luis Severino signing a 3-year, $67 million contract with the A's. I don't know what they're thinking about. Chapman signs with the Red Sox for $10 million 1 year. Cubs signed Matthew Boyd. The Mets signed Frankie Montas, former Yankee washout. Dodgers signed Blake Snell, as we know. Not a big Blake Snell fan. Danny, I don't know if you were here or laid up when this first broke. 5.2 innings he's averages his entire career. He's now got 11 outs, and 6 of them came this year in a no-hitter from the 7th inning on in his entire career. Kikuchi signs with the Angels, and the rest we've already talked about pretty much. So here's where we stand to get you guys up to date. Orioles with new ownership. So far, same old O's. They need to make a big splash, Danny, or JB. I thought about Danny going to an Orioles game this year. Sorry. Yeah, new ownership, fresh money. Make a splash, man. You're going to lose Burns, most likely. You're going to lose Santander, it looks like. And what are you doing? I don't get it. What else is going on here? Something to be said of Isaac Paredes is the way he gets moved around. It's not that he's unlikable. He is likable and always a good trade chip. He gets moved a lot. He came up. He's a decent prospect, right? But he doesn't seem to stay anywhere. Where's he been? Miami and Chicago. Where else has he been? Seems like he's been somewhere else. What else is going on in baseball? We talked about Crochet. The Cashman defends not offering Soto a Yankee Stadium suite. No regrets. Again, I don't think the Yankees wanted Soto back. I'm a little surprised about the Cubs getting Tucker because I know the word was they were after Suzuki as part of that deal. So that's kind of interesting. And I said there's been a lot of trades, and I said the Yankees would probably have to improve via trade, which it looks like they're going to do at least. Well, they've done it with the Delvin Williams trade. They may have to do it. listen, I think Christian Walker's coming to New York. I really do. I do not think it'll be Lonzo. What else do we have to talk about? For those of you who weren't here earlier, we talked a little bit about Bill Melton, Rocky Calavito, and Merv Retman, three solid Major League Baseball players. Not necessarily in that order, by the way, who each passed away this week, and our condolences go to their family and friends. I have memories of each one of these players. Calavito, very late in his career. Bill Melton, more so when my development years in the early 70s. And Merv Retman, of course, with the Orioles and the Reds in the late 60s, early 70s. Great players. We talked about Dick Allen and Dave Parker and their induction into the Hall of Fame by the Eras Committee, I guess is what we call it now. Kikuchi getting $20 million per season, right? This is what Boris can do for a player. He can either do that or he can totally screw guys like he screwed. Well, it worked out right for Blake Snell. How did Boris taking Jordan Montgomery into spring training last year work out for Jordan Montgomery? There's another player, too, that he affected, and I can't remember for the life of me who it is right this second. But Boris, yes, he either gets guys overpaid drastically or he screws players by holding out too long. But if I'm Kikuchi, I'm very happy I'm getting $20 million a year. Or is Severino a Boris guy? Because he's way overpaid too. Well, again, I can't say he's overpaid. I just said you're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you. If he earns that $67 million, I'll be the most shocked guy on the planet. Luis Severino has got some great talent. He can't stay healthy. And he also comes up very small at big moments. Watch this with the Yankees over and over and over. I don't know that much about Kikuchi. I know he's not a $20 million a year starter. He's probably a 4 starter at best, Chris, right? Sure, a number 3 or 4 starter on a stacked team, but could be an ace on a crap team, then you get paid like an ace. Do you? Not me. Your theory's probably right, but I'm not doing that. Sleeper signing for agent Trevor Williams from the Nats or to the Nats. Oh, for you? Orioles signed Trevor Williams? What have the Orioles done, by the way? Let's take a look at the Orioles since we got JB with us here. I want to see what the Orioles have done. Orioles off season moves. Give me something. All right, let's see what your Baltimore Orioles have done. Am I happy or not happy? You signed Gary Sanchez. You're going to the World Series. That's funny. I don't see. This might be. When did they sign? Was it before? I don't see the Trevor. I like Trevor Williams, by the way. And if that's what you're saying, I don't see he signed with the Orioles. But maybe what I'm looking at isn't up to date here too. Maybe I should go here. Tyler O'Neill, Thaddeus Ward. Yeah, I don't see it, but maybe it's news that's just broke too. I don't know. Listen, he's a guy. He is a sleeper signing. I like Trevor Williams. I believe he pitched with the Pirates and pitched well there. Heard Boris made $34 million on the Soto deal alone. Why even continue working? Because there's more millions to be made and make it pretty easily, JB. 768. Now I'd be surprised because from what I understand, these agents are working on about a 10%. Now again, he's not getting all that money up front, right? Because Soto is not getting $768 million tomorrow. This light's pissing me off. I got to order a new one. See if I can get it by Sunday. Without that light, I start to fade, and then you start to see all these little blotchy things in the studio here. I I guess it's first world problems, right? Anyway, I would have thought, JB, he would have got probably $76 million out of that deal. Working on a smaller commission than you would think. Hello, Jim Malark. How are you, buddy? Good to see you there. Another Orioles fan, JB. Check out Jim Malark. Diehard Oriole fan. His wife is a diehard Red Sox fan. So, again, sorry for the bad lighting today. Jim, checking us out. We are a little... there's some studio issues right now. Rick Sherlock, great. Thank you, Rick. We had a lot of fun with Wesley Walker was our guest on 101 with Keith Engle this morning. We had a lot of fun. Wesley listen, Wesley can talk, man. Wesley was asking questions. Wesley was asking questions that I had to ask him without me even getting there. He'd go into a story and it would like carry all the things that I would have asked him about as it related to whatever where we were in that point of the conversation. We had a great time. Wesley Walker, former New York Jet, right? Gets a little plug here on the MLB update. Thank you, Rick. Hey, look at that. The light just came back on. What the? There's got to be. I wonder if I got a power issue here. I better check my, better check the fuse box or something. See how we're back? Hello, I'm back. I didn't do a thing. It just came back on by itself. And maybe it's probably just a faulty. I think there's something wrong with the USB connection to my the light that I use here to light me in front of this studio that you're looking at. Yes, Jim, we got a studio. I built this thing with my bare hands. Let's go, hose. See, now I said hello to Malark. It's okay on your end. I bet you it's better now, right, Jim? By the way, I gave us a little Christmas, with Christmas quickly upon us, I gave us a little Christmas feel here in the studio today. You'll see that throughout. Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness, by the way, we'll get into all this baseball talk because Drew isn't here today, so I'm sure we'll talk about some of this stuff again on Sunday. But remember, Sunday mornings, 8:30 to 10:30, we talk everything, sports and even some non-sports topics. You guys drive that show and you do a great job. Even on this show, you guys, it's the comments, your guys' contributions to the show what keep it rolling. That's why I do it. It's easy to do. I throw out a couple of topics and we talk. Yup. Jim's fitting right in already. I don't know what he said yup to, so... This happens, Jim, as you see, if you do follow some of the shows. Sunday mornings, I tend to fall 20 minutes behind on the comments, and it's hard because I'll get one-word answers, and I don't know what we're answering to by that point in time. Chris with another birthday today. Leon Das Lee, who would have been 164 today. It would have been some kind of record, I think, Chris, by the way. Played for the 1887 St. Louis Brown Stockings, graduated Princeton, same school that brought us Waddy McPhee and Chris, you're the best. Chris, I miss it when you're not here, buddy. That all sounds like I have my shoes on backwards, but that is some legit inane dope from the north. No, inane. I did use the word inane one time. I challenged Chris to go out and find us irreverent information. And one day I was talking to him and I couldn't come up with the word irreverent. And I said inane. And I feel really bad about that. Yeah, Jim, I mentioned that a minute ago, and I want you to enjoy Gary Sanchez and every minute of that $8.5 million, because about the middle of April, you're going to be going, what? Because he's terrible. He's not a good catcher. He calls out. He doesn't call a good game. He doesn't block the plate. He can't throw guys out, and he can't hit. So he's really an all-around, pretty much a five-tool failure. He'll hit a home run here and there, yeah. Oh, Gary Sanchez. I mean, I don't even know what Gary did last year, but Gary spent time at a couple of different clubs last year, by the way. I'm glad you brought this up, Jim, because now I want to know what Gary Sanchez actually did last year. Gary Sanchez's career trajectory has been like basically. Sorry, I had a really. What's funny in my head isn't always funny when it comes out, so it's probably best that I didn't. I was gonna make a challenger joke, and that's not cool. So Gary Sanchez last year, he spent it all with Milwaukee. He did hit 11 home runs, hit 220, got on base 30% of the time, which is basically horrible. His OPS was under 700, terrible. All 7 doubles. How many times did you strike out? 76 times in 280 plate appearances. It doesn't get worse than that, does it? Let's see. Where's his fielding numbers here? By the way, that's an improvement on his year in Milwaukee the year before, other than the power numbers. We're down a bit. Gary Sanchez is just not a good baseball player. It looked like he was going to be with the Yankees in 16, 17. But he went downhill from there. The Yankees held on to him way too long. I'm going over here. We should have signed off already. We'll go a couple more minutes. Sorry. If we lost anybody on Roku, National Streaming Sports Roku channel, I apologize. The Yankees held on to Sanchez until about 2021, I believe, is when they got rid of him. And they probably should have moved him 3 years earlier. They were always afraid to move him because they were afraid he would do something somewhere else. Yankees are famous for that, by the way. Danny will be happy I'm now bashing my Yankees. But Gary Sanchez, by the way, trajectory, straight downhill. He fizzles out? No, he stinks from the get-go, Jim. Don't worry about it. You won't have to worry about him fizzling out. But actually might get out to a decent start. Maybe by March in spring training, you'll be like, why do we sign this guy? I hope the $8 million isn't guaranteed. That's all I can tell you. Where's he going to play on your team, by the way? JB, where are you? JB, you still with me? I mean, I don't understand where is he going to play? Hang on a second. I want to check something out. Since we're talking about it. And because I've heard a couple, not you, Jim, and not JE, I don't think JB even. Talking about Gary Sanchez, and they think, oh, he might actually work out. Where's he going to play? He's not going to catch. You got Rauschman, obviously, there. He's not going to play first base because Ryan O'Hearn's better than him. DH, Mountcastle's better than him. You got a bunch of guys on your bench who are better than him. So you got a backup catcher for $8 million, which probably is about the going rate, but he's not even any good. You better hope Rauschman can catch about 150 games a year. Well, there you go. Now, Rauschman can't play every game, but you need listen. Gary Sanchez isn't even I can't go on. Sorry. Oh, God. What do you got? Is he a leader? No. Again, Jim, I got nothing good to say about Gary Sanchez. Not one thing. Not one thing. I wish I could find something good to say. Sorry, I just got something from work I wanted to check on, so I got a couple things to take care of once we get done here. Let me just see if there's any other news. I didn't realize we had reached the top of the hour. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for contributing, as you always do. Remember, we'll be back. Just a couple of program notes. Sunday, we'll be back with the Stream of Consciousness from 8:30 a.m. till 10:30 Eastern time. I'll be on probably the big football show on National Streaming Sports before that. Wednesday, we'll still have the College Football Huddle live at 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what's going to happen with the huddle the 2 weeks following. We cannot miss it because of the playoff and all that. But it will be Christmas and New Year's night. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. We got football games going on. So I may have to do it. I don't know. I'm really not sure when we're going to do the College Football Huddle those 2 weeks of the holiday. We'll see. We'll figure out a day to do it. Maybe Monday night I'll do them. I don't know. Or Monday or Thursday. We'll figure it out. And then no other interruptions that I can think of because of the holiday. So what else you got, Jim? You're still talking to me? Yes, he's no longer a Yankee. No, he hasn't been a Yankee since 2022, and there was nobody happier than me when he was gone. Oh, and by the way, I was not a fan when he was here. I don't just talk bad. Here's what and Jim, you'll find this out about me on these shows. And if you haven't in talking to me in real life, you're going to get what I think about everybody. My team, I'm hard on my team. Danny gets on me sometimes for being hard on my Yankees or my Patriots in football. I don't wear rose-colored glasses. When there's problems, I point them out. Do I want to be wrong about the things I see? I pointed out a lot of bad things about the Yankees last year. They made it to the World Series. I was happy. But all of those things that I talked about that were a problem creeped up in that 5-game World Series. Everything. The bullpen, the defense, the base running, the lack of fundamental, good fundamental baseball. It all creeped up during that 5 games. So, yeah. So I don't just root for the guys when they're here and then bash them when they go, because I bash them while they're here most of the time. Oh, that was right. Once in a while, I'm right. It's like a blind squirrel and all that, you know. So anyway, guys, I think we've covered it. Congratulations to Dick Allen and Dave Parker for getting voted in by the Veterans or Era Committee, whatever we're calling it these days, with the Hall of Fame. Congratulations again. Our condolences to the families of Bill Melton, Merv Rettenman, and Rocky Colavito, for 3 solid major leaguers. Again, not in that order necessarily. But people that I remember pretty fondly from my years watching baseball. Well, Judge, listen, Judge has played out of position for a long, long time in center field, at least since the start of last year. He played a lot of center field the year before. Judge needs to not be in center field. Judge is a good player. I'm trying to remember the exact situation you're talking about, Jim, but Judge is not a guy I'm going to bash. Judge is out there playing hard all the time. Judge played out of position for an entire season, wore down as the season went on, had an atrocious playoff and World Series. No excuse. You have to perform on the big stage when your team is counting on you. He did not do that. Now, the Yankees have to put him in a position to be able to perform at the end of the season as well. He's performed at the beginning and the end. Well, he didn't perform that well at the beginning. And getting him out of center field will make him better come postseason time. Because that wear and tear is just, and by the way, as I said, Jim, you weren't here when I said it, he's one of the best right fielders in baseball. He's a below average center fielder. No fault of Aaron Judge. And besides being a below average center fielder and hurting your team and your defense and your pitching staff, it hurts him because you wear down. He's got a big body that's got to cover a lot more ground in center field than he had to cover in right field. And it's just a matter of, find a center fielder. Tucker's gone. Go get Bellinger. By this time next week, I expect Christian Walker to be with the Yankees. I expect Cody Bellinger to be a Yankee. We'll see how that goes. We'll see you on this show next week again, guys. 3 p.m. Eastern time. This show will tonight. I'm not sure when the show will replay. We're going to replay the interview this morning with Weston Walker, former South Carolina basketball star, and then in 2 weeks we have Don Beebe, former Buffalo Bill and Green Bay Packer. TGI Sports Talks MLB update. See you again. Bye-bye.